Hi, I'm Ben,
And I'm Ernie.
and this is Budget Nerds.
What was all in your mind?
You are not alone.
No, you are not. Well, Ernie, today's the day.
The
Today
day?
is the day. Well, you've been waiting for this episode for a long time.
I really have been.
All right, well, my buddy Ernie's been waiting for this moment for a long time, for my sake. So I'm gonna make a fresh start. Let's do this. I'm gonna give this a different name, but I'll just call it my fresh start for now. Then I'll change the names around a bit. It's gonna take a minute. It's got a lot of calculations to do. Got about 3.5 years of transactions to delete and start over. And there we go. Fresh start is here. Now I get to do the fun stuff. I made a fresh start back in October, and we're finally going to talk about it. You've been urging me.
I've been
You've been urging for like
you,
years.
pressuring you, for years.
Make that fresh start. Yeah, I did it. I did it in October. So we're recording this beginning of December. I think this is going to come out in January. We thought it was a good time because a lot of people think about starting fresh in their budget at the beginning of the year. I mean, you do this every year, right, Ern?
I do. January 1st, every single year. Can't wait to be doing it here in about 4 weeks.
So just in case people don't know, what is a fresh start? Like, what are we talking about here?
Talking about starting the budget over. And with YNAB, it's an actual feature where you hit the fresh start button and YNAB's going to save a copy of the old budget and then bring over all of your accounts and your links, your category customization, your category targets, basically all that cool stuff. And then just deleting all of the data so you can start fresh, right? Accurate account balances, fresh pile of money, and then you just reprioritize it.
Yeah, and that's different from creating a new budget file because all your work on your categories and your accounts is there. It's just all the spending has been deleted and all the assigned amounts has been deleted. So you kind of have like a blank slate to start, and it's perfect for if maybe you haven't used YNAB for a little while and you want to get back into it. We made that feature mostly for that because that happens all the time, and we want people to be able to just jump right back in and not have to worry about entering transactions from like 3 months past or something like that. Like none of that nonsense.
Way
just
too overwhelming.
And just make it easy. But you and I have done it. Well, you do it every year. I just did it just to get a new perspective. Just to get a fresh look. And I think it's really enlightening. It was really a good experience for me.
Yeah, you're kind of in a change of seasons, so to speak. And for me, I do the fresh start just to look at the money with new eyes, fresh perspectives. So, and you definitely don't have to ever do a fresh start, right? Not encouraging people or saying you have to, but a lot of people like keeping that one budget. They got 10 years of data that they can look back on.
It's nice to have like one budget, one file. When you do a fresh start, you don't lose any data because we keep a copy of that file. But it's nice to have all that information in one file.
Right. You look at the net
really
worth report and you can see it change over the past decade. I mean, that's just super cool, nerdy.
That's super cool.
You do give that up.
But there's a lot of benefits to doing a fresh start. Yeah, for me, my reasons were, paid off the house. We talked about that. So that was obviously a huge change in my budget because it just freed up a ton of cash flow because it wasn't just the mortgage that we're paying, which was obviously significant. But also we were putting twice our mortgage. So we paid our mortgage payment, and we paid our mortgage payment again, and like half on top of that. So it was we got a lot of basically that's the one thing that's cool when you pay off debt. Not only do you get the cash flow of the debt payoff back, but you get the cash flow of any extra you're putting on the debt back. So it was a lot of extra money, and we were like, oh, we got to decide what we're going to do with this.
So a lot of your categories were going to start looking very differently.
Yes, because we had new cash flow that we could allocate to something else. we also have a new baby on the way, due in February. So, and I have 3 kids already, so it's not like a new first baby. It's not like it's like a radical change to my life. Like, we're well set up for babies, but my youngest child is going to be just turning 3 when the baby comes. So it's been a little while since we had a baby in the house.
Okay.
And so we're gonna have to make some changes to the house and to the budget. So that was one thing to consider. And also we need to save for the new baby. So that was a big expense. And then, I just wanted a chance to step back, get some new perspective. It had been 3.5 years.
Oh, wow.
Since I did a fresh start. Yeah. Because I think the last time I did a fresh start was like in March 2018. So it's been a while.
Was it a little
same old budget file?
Was it a little sad saying goodbye to that old budget?
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, this is like a period of my life, my financial life is like over here now. So I don't know, it's still there. I can go back. I mean, one time I went back to my old YNAB 4 budget, my old budget from like 2013, and just kind of had a little nostalgia trip looking at those amounts and stuff, So I'm still gonna do that, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was hard though for me because it is nice having all that data in one place, but I think the new perspective and just the fresh budget file is really, it's been nice. I made a few changes, so it's really good.
Yeah, and all right, perfect. Well, let's get into those deets, right? Tell us all about this new budget, changes you made.
Yeah, how I did. Okay. Well, first, I think I want to talk about like the mechanics of how I did my fresh start, because you could do it the simple way where you just click fresh start and then start from today. But I kind of made it a little more complicated, maybe a little more nerdy than it probably needed to be. I took like a morning, like a few hours to like set this up, and I now don't do what I do necessarily unless you want to nerd out on it. But like I don't know. I'll tell you what happened. So I put off the fresh start quite a bit because I have been putting it off for a while. Ernie can tell you this, right? And it got to be the middle of October, so it was like October 15th. And I hadn't done the fresh start yet. And so I did the fresh start then, but I was like, I really want to have like a clean month, so I put in the data going back to October 1st. And that took a little bit of finagling.
Right. That's a lot of transactions to import, categorize.
It was a little more complicated than I thought it would be. I would be like, oh, well, I know that, dude. Listen, it got to be a little bit confusing. But so what I did was I set the clock back to September 30th. Okay, so I put in the account balances for what they were on September 30th for all my accounts. Okay, and then in the September budget, I set the available amounts to what they were in my old budget on September 30th. Okay. So it was actually kind of nice because all the big, like, it was when you first start, you have your first month looks a little different because, especially if you have some savings already, because you have these big amounts in the available column or in the available column, but also in the assigned column, And so I did my big amounts in like 1 month in September. And then I went into October. So I had everything all set up for September. And then I changed my targets for my categories, according to what I'd already decided in October budget. And then I assigned all the remaining money that was still left and ready to assign in October. And so and then I put in all the transactions for the past 15 days, which turns out to be a lot, actually.
That is a lot, but it also sounds really, really fun.
It was. I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy it. I had a good time. But the reason why I think I'm so wary about it is like it can be a lot simpler than what I did.
But I'm with you. I mean, when I do my annual fresh start, I always make sure it's on the 1st, right, of January, because it is that clean start. Now, if you're just starting budgeting, like we always tell folks, you can start YNAB on any day, right? You don't have to wait till the 1st of the month. And that's the great thing about YNAB. But with the fresh start, boy, there is an argument to be made there about waiting for that clean start. I get that.
I mean, I'm nerdy. I've been using YNAB for a long time. I felt like I could dig in and do the complicated stuff.
And
I did enjoy it. I did have a fun time.
I really like how you went to the last day of September, right? Because then you filled it up with all those, basically those savings amounts, right? So then you have the new assigned amounts to hit those monthly targets in that first month of the budget. I like that.
Yeah, because so September was the weird month where I didn't have any transactions, but I had all the big amounts in the assigned column. And then really I started in October. And so it's nice because when I look at my reports, I won't have this weird like drop off kind of thing that happens sometimes.
Right.
It'll all be clean. So,
well,
I
always ran into the problem too with targets, right? Say I had $200 in auto maintenance, right? So I plop that amount in, and if my monthly target was 50, well, then it told me I hit that monthly amount. So it's like I didn't get prompted to add. Oh yeah,
and then 50. You have to be like, I need to add another 50.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's something I didn't even consider. So yeah, it was good to put it all in September, and then I get the regular, the regular budget in October. So
boy, this is already so nerdy. I love it.
This is like the nerdiest episode we've had yet. we're getting deep into it. So that's the mechanics of how I did it. I just sat down one day. But the big thing was deciding what to do with the freed up income, and for that was lots of discussion with my wife Caitlin. So I guess that'll be the next section here. We're talking about how did I decide. So one thing that before we even started talking about what we were going to do with our extra money, like how we were going to consume it, right off the top, we decided to give a certain percentage of our freed up income away. And that's a decision because we want to give more. And also it was a big part of the way we paid off the house, because we've been working on it for 2 or 3 years. And then we got a gift from a family member to finish paying it off really quickly. And I realized, oh my gosh, I have a lot of privilege in my family, and I should use some of this money to help other people. And so we decided that we're going to give away half of the freed up income, which was a big decision for us. We also decided going forward, if we ever have any increases in income, we're going to give away half of those increases.
Okay.
Now, normally I'm not like super into like budgeting by percentage,
Yeah.
I feel like you should make decisions, but this did really feel good for us, because I think we just needed to like put a line in the sand and say, this is what we're doing. I'm not committed to it for life or anything, like we're always gonna make changes, but this is what we're going with for now. And it's really exciting because there's lots of things we want to do with giving money to institutions and just like random acts of kindness. I'll get into all that, but yeah, it's really, really exciting. So that's one thing we did before we even talked about it. So it was interesting because basically when we started talking about how do we want to consume this extra income, half of it was like off the table right at the beginning. So that made it a little easier. And then we still had a bunch of freed up income because, like I said, we had the mortgage payment and we had all the extra money that we were putting on the mortgage, which was a lot. And so we still had a good amount of money to like say, okay, how are we going to change our budget targets? We made some separate spreadsheets. I actually didn't do this in YNAB. Of course. Is that how you did it? How you do it when you make changes like that?
No.
You make a separate spreadsheet?
I don't go to that nerdiness level. So kudos to you.
Whenever it's very common in my family, whenever we have any big life decision, there is a spreadsheet involved. And I just wanted to like play with the numbers like really quickly. And so that's why I did it in a separate spreadsheet. And I wanted my wife to, make decisions and me to make decisions and like come together. Mm-hmm. And so we had one spreadsheet. It was called Barlow Hopes and Dreams, parentheses, as they pertain to spending money. Okay, that was the name of her. Barlow Hopes and Dreams as they pertain to spending money. And that was the name of her spreadsheet. And my wife had a sheet in there. And she called it like none of your business or like don't look at it or something. And I had a sheet in there and we wrote down the changes we wanted to make separately. Okay. So she had her ideas, I had my ideas, and then we got together and we looked at each other's spreadsheets and we compromised and we talked about it and we kind of put them together. So that's how we did it.
Okay.
And it was a really good experience. It was, I was really good for our relationship, I think, to just kind of talk it out. I mean, it's always true when you're budgeting to talk to a partner. It's just because it just aligns your values together.
Sure.
You know? But this was a big one, and it was a really good conversation. I really liked it a lot.
Boy, that looks a lot different than when Christy and I do a fresh start. I should say when I do a fresh start, because it's basically 99% me, right? I make all the changes, and then I bring them to Christy. I'm like, what do you think about this? Is there anything you would change? It looks good. And we kind of go on our way. Well,
and I think that's the more usual way it goes, because normally in partners, there's one who's a budget nerd, and there's one who's like, okay, like they'll be involved in the decisions, but they're just kind of going with it more. But yeah, my wife's almost as much of a budget nerd as I am. So
well, the other thing too, this was a very drastic change for you too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Because like I'll do things like I'll cover overspending and I'll make most of those decisions myself, you know. So because I do most of the day-to-day work in YNAB, but when we're making this big a change, or whenever we're making about like if we're making any permanent changes to the budget, when I define that as like changing a target on a category, we'll talk about it. So that's how we do it. So we brought the spreadsheets together, we discussed it, and then we decided exactly how much we're going to increase our targets by in every category. And then I took that spreadsheet and implemented it in YNAB. So that's how I handled it.
All right.
Yeah.
Any increases or decreases that you want to highlight?
Yeah. Okay. I have a whole list of literally every single thing that we did.
Okay.
So we could go through it, or we can talk about the highlights. But well, the first thing I did, this was even before the fresh start, was I added categories for my escrow. This is getting super nerdy, but we're gonna do.
Yeah, because you don't have the bank holding that anymore, so
exactly.
You're responsible.
So it used to be that my bank. Because I guess because they don't know that I'm a responsible nerdy budgeter, my bank required that they pay the home insurance and the property taxes, right? Which makes sense. Like they are investing in this house and they want to make sure that stuff gets paid. So they have what's called, in the U.S. we have what we call an escrow account. You pay into it every month, and then the bank pays those expenses, right? Now, bank's not involved. They're kicked them to the curb. They're not involved in anything anymore. So I have to have categories for my home insurance and my property taxes. So I added those two categories, and I think it's great because both of them, it used to be they would pay like quarterly or something, and it was really, the property taxes is like really complicated. It's like every 2 months, except for like this particular time, it's like 6 months in between payments. It's like, what is going on? So I just said, I'm going to pay it yearly. And I actually front loaded some money for it to be able to pay it yearly, and it's like going to be smooth as glass.
And you know what? I know you're going to save the exact amount you need. You're not going to get that letter from the bank every year saying, "Oh,
yes,
we didn't put enough aside."
Every year they're like, "I know, I do a better job than them." Yeah, every year they're just like, "Oh, there's a shortage on your escrow account." And they act like it's your fault, and I'm like, "I paid the amount you told me to pay." Anyways, that's another matter for another time. But so yeah, so I have my own categories for that. The other thing was giving. So half of the free up income went to giving. We separated it out. We're giving some more to our church. I also there's some decisions that I still need to make. I have a category called other charities right now, and we're allocating a certain amount there every month, but I'm not sure what that's going to be. So like there's several institutions in my town and in my community, and also some larger institutions that I want to give to, but I haven't decided what amounts and everything. So it's just kind of hanging out there right now.
Okay.
And once I dial it in, that category will go to a bunch of other institutions. And that was a brand new category for us. So that was really exciting, because otherwise, if we did give to any other charities, it would just kind of be random. But the point of this category is for it to be regular. So that's really exciting. Gifts. We have a gifts and holidays category that went up quite a bit, because in truth, it probably should have. Like we have like birthday gifts and things like that, and we were always scrambling because we never had enough in that category. So that went up quite a bit.
Okay.
And then my most excited one is our compassion category, which I've talked about before. That is a random acts of kindness category. So we would put a certain amount of money in there every month, let it build up, and if somebody in our community needed help, or if we wanted to give a big tip or something like that at a restaurant, whatever you want to do, you just meet that need and have some fun with it. So that got a gigantic bump with this, and I'm very excited about it because it's really fun. This is the most fun way you can spend money, and it's already the past 2 months. It hasn't even built up because we found places that needed help. So it's interesting because like I feel like that category, no matter how big it'll get, it'll always be like the needs out there fill that category pretty quick.
Right.
So it's fun. So
that's
I'm
awesome.
excited about that. Yeah. So that's giving. Another one, college funds. We bumped up our college funds for our kids, and also
the new kid
set up. Yeah, the new kid as well, who I can't actually set up a college fund for the unborn child yet, but I am setting money aside to start doing that.
Okay.
And then I'll talk about true expenses. True expenses basically stayed the same. Like we've kind of dialed it in quite a bit. And a long time ago, I finally kind of started admitting, I need to just pay for these true expenses.
Yeah.
And so haircuts went up a little bit because we've been struggling there. There's like a science museum in my town called Amazement Square. It's like the coolest dang place ever. And we have like a season pass, like a yearly pass for that for my family. And so that price went up for that. We paid for that. Let's talk about appliances.
I was going to say, I don't see appliances on this list.
I did not.
In your
appliances.
Your refrigerator is still leaking, right?
I was just giving this speech about how I need to embrace our true expenses. I still did not add anything to the appliances category. And you know what? I think I actually took it off the budget. I'm actually going to, on the fly, pull up my budget here to see, because I don't remember. But I think I just took it off because I did talk about how we have the home maintenance category, and I think, in the past, if like big appliances break, I would use that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really what it is. Non-month. Okay, I do have an appliances category. It has $20 in it. When did I put $20 in this?
That'll get you real far.
Last month I put $20 in. Why did I do that? Okay, I don't even, because there's no target on it. But apparently last month I put $20 in it. I don't remember doing
Feel
that.
better about yourself?
This is very funny.
To tell the budget nerd community, yes, I budgeted for appliances.
I have no memory of this. On November 8th, I put from ready to assign $20, and I'm looking at the money moves list right now. So, hey, I put $20 in it. There you go.
And I think you should never, ever use that category. Just like freeze it. $20 locked there forever.
I think I need to admit that I'm actually just not going to use that category. So if I can get to this point where I paid off my house and have all this income and I still didn't add anything to it, it's pretty funny. So
that is funny.
So the appliance category saga continues, and we'll continue to talk about it. All right, what else? Let's talk about like the frequent fun expenses. And how long are we going here? We're good. 25 minutes. We can keep going. All right. So restaurants, quite a bump. That got a good old kick in the pants.
That had to feel good.
Bump it up a little bit. That felt really good. Yeah, I love that. And we also separated it out a little bit. Because before we just had a restaurants category, and we'll occasionally take our kids out, like for pizza or like we never take them to like a sit down restaurant, but we'll take them to like fast food
because that's just
or something like that.
Not fun.
No, it's not fun for me. It's not fun for the people there. It's a bad idea. So we don't do that, but we'll take them some places. And what we realized was it was hard to separate, like, because we look at it and we kind of do the math, like, oh, we have $200 in there, and we have like 3 weeks left, so we could spend like $60 or $70 a week and we were thinking of that as like a date night. We would spend that, but when we also bring the kids, it would just kind of mess with it. So we separated it out where we have family eating out and then dates eating out. So if my wife and I are the only ones eating, it's a date. If we're eating with the whole family, it's family eating out. And that's been really, really helpful.
Nice.
But overall, it got a bump. Our medical over-the-counter category got a bump. Pretty boring. Bessie incidentals category. That's my dog, Bessie, who's right here. Hey, honey. She's sleeping. She got... So that's like toys and bones and treats and stuff like that. That doubled from $10 to $20. Any questions?
When you said
thoughts there?
incidentals, I thought maybe stuff that Bessie's just breaking around the house, running through fences.
Actually, Bessie has decided that she loves to eat her mom's shoes. She has eaten 3 pairs of shoes now.
Whoa.
She doesn't eat my shoes.
Interesting.
And Kaylin's like, will you eat some of Ben's shoes for once? But I just told her it's because she loves you the most, and your shoes have your smell on it, and so she wants to consume it. So
there we go.
Going on. So, anyways, she's eaten 3 pairs of shoes. So I think in our budget meeting, in our budget meeting, we're gonna have to, talk about replacing some shoes. So, but yeah, mostly incidentals is for like doggy bags and treats and toys, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Our entertainment category doubled. So that's
fun.
Fun.
Double
And
the
it's
fun
already-
in Ben's house.
It's great because we've always kind of like, it's always been kind of tricky, that category. I feel like we never really had enough, and we want to do more stuff. So like I brought my son Teddy bowling, and like didn't have to worry about it. It was a lot of money because apparently bowling's expensive. I don't know, and it was a lot more than I thought it'd be. But I don't have to worry about it because we doubled our entertainment category. So we're gonna be able to do stuff like that more often. That's really nice.
I also envisioned this epic poker party at your place because I just saw in the Unwrapping channel you got
yes.
You were gifted a poker set, right?
Yes, so YNAB gives us Christmas gifts every year, and I got I got it right here. Yeah.
And so now with the more money in the entertainment, like there's bound to be a party.
Look at this. It's so heavy. This is 20 pounds. I got these nice ceramic
That is beautiful.
poker chips. They're super nice. Anyways, I've been really having fun playing poker with some buddies. So, yeah, but I wouldn't use my entertainment category for that because I would use my personal spending category.
Okay, entertainment, whole family. Makes sense.
Whole family. Yeah. So, but I won a tournament with my buddies, and so my poker category is flush right now because I took like all the money I won, and we don't play for a lot of money. We do like a $20 buy-in for it, but I won like $200 when I won the tournament, so it's all in that category, and so I'm good for like 10 months of tournaments, right? Anyways, that's a whole other thing. What else? Diapers. We thought about adding a diaper category, adding it back a diaper category. But we decided just to wait until the baby comes, actually, and cross that bridge then. So, and then the big ones. So a lot of those were just kind of small amounts that we raised. But the biggest ones were our goals categories. So baby savings, we need to save up for medical bills for a new baby. That was the new category that we added, which we'd already added actually before the fresh start, but we bumped that up a little bit.
Okay.
I am looking to hire a nutrition coach, so we put some money aside for that. I haven't done that yet, but I'm gonna try and get some help there. We more than doubled our vacation and travel category, which is very exciting. So
nice.
And we've already used it. Like we went on like a little Airbnb like 3-day thing over Thanksgiving weekend with the whole family. So yeah, we'll just do like more like little trips like that. Even though we're having a new baby, but we'll see how it goes. And then I literally have a category called Next Big Goal, and that by far got the most amount of money. This is mostly going to be for house renovations because we have been putting extra on the mortgage, and in order to do that, we have forgone a lot of changes we want to make on the house, and so that's the biggest category that got a bump. Not quite sure yet what we're going to do first, but it is building up. So that's the goal there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Excellent. So all of that was increases.
There's a lot.
Were there any categories where you looked at and you said, I think we could do better?
That's a good question. There was one that I actually decreased, and it was groceries, oddly enough. I wanted to bump up groceries, but my wife, who runs the grocery category, and she's like super good at it, she's like, no, we're good there, actually. She might change her mind later, but that's what she said. But I had a weird amount in groceries. I was budgeting $351.29 in my groceries category. And here's the reason why. We used to have it like
very
real complicated.
Specific.
Well, it was before we had weekly goals. We set up this structure. It was really complicated in their budget, because you have 4 weeks that you spend on groceries, right? And then you have the 5th week every like few months, right? And so what we would do is we had a category called groceries auxiliary. No idea why I called it that. There you go. And that would be a place where we would build up money for the 5-week months. Okay. And then we would move that over to the grocery category. And then we got rid of that category because we started buying groceries every 2 weeks or like every month. And then like with shorter trips, we just changed the way we buy groceries. And so we combined those two categories. But because of that arrangement, it was a weird amount. It was like $351.29, right?
Yeah.
And so I bumped it down to $350 because it's just silly. So that's
there we go. Nice round number.
Nice round number. But that's the only category that I reduced, actually. Everything else it stayed the same or went up. So
yeah, I mean, I don't do a lot of reducing either. Generally, when I make my fresh start, there's a number of categories, probably like household, groceries, transportation, eating out, where I look at the average monthly spent number, and I compare that to my monthly target. And usually what I end up doing, instead of trying to cut back, I just raise my target up to match reality.
Right. Well, you got like 2 teenagers. I mean, your grocery budget's just going to go up and up for a little while here, right?
Groceries is a whole nother episode, but I will just say $350 for a family of, what is that, 5 for you? So we're a family of 5.
It's going to be 5, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be 6.
It'll be 6 soon. Oh my gosh.
Just last month, in November, we spent $1,000 on groceries. Yeah, so it's an average of $200 a week, and that's normal. But yeah, like you said, 3 teenage boys.
And we do live in a place where food's pretty cheap. Yeah. And it's funny because I wrote that we've talked about that blog a few times. I wrote that blog back then. It was only $300. It was $298 specifically. And I got so many people who were just like, "Oh, Ben, wait till your kids get older."
Yeah.
And it's very true. So
I mean, my kids will eat through $100 worth of groceries within 2 hours of bringing a week's worth of groceries home. So
right. And that represents a lot of work, like a lot of meal planning, a lot of stuff. So like that's one thing I wanted to, and I might talk to my wife about this again, about bumping up that grocery category, because I don't know, it might be nice to not have to put in so much effort in order to keep that so low, especially now that we've met this big goal,
Right. And you're going to have a new baby. So a lot of time there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, at least the baby will not be eating literal food for a while, but it'll be another person eating food soon. So there you go. That's something to consider. Oh yeah, also a lot of time. Yeah, I should probably think about that. Maybe we should bump that up before the baby comes. And restaurants too, maybe, but. Yeah, so that's all the changes I made. I also changed my account structure in kind of a fun way. So I don't know if we have time to talk about that.
Yeah, let's run through it, because Fresh Start is a great time to make changes to accounts, right? Because all that previous data gets deleted, so you can then easily delete categories, or not categories. You can delete those accounts, get rid of them, or do what you did.
Yeah, so I combined a bunch of my tracking accounts. So I have a college fund for each of my kids. So that is now 3 college funds, soon to be 4 college funds, and those are all separate tracking accounts. And I don't have to add those as tracking accounts. I just like to keep track of them in YNAB.
Yeah, me too.
I actually decided, I don't really need to, on like a daily basis, I don't need to see the separate numbers for each kid's college fund. I just want to like track how much we're putting into college. So I created one account called College Fund and put them, and it's combined all of them. So all the transactions are going to that one account, even though in real life there's 3 separate accounts.
Right.
I also did that with my retirement accounts, and this is the weird one too.
Interesting.
I have, because if you've been around for a while, you kind of collect retirement accounts a little bit. Like you might have like a retirement account from like an old job that you need to transfer over. You can do that. That's the whole thing. But so I have a Roth IRA. My wife has a Roth IRA. We have a 401k here at YNAB. I also have a regular IRA because when I transferred money from another, anyways, I have all these retirement accounts, right? And I was just like, I really don't need to see those separated out in YNAB. All I'm really interested in is my net worth. And so I put them all together. And so my tracking accounts list is looking super sleek and chill right now. So I really like it.
And it just gives you that one big number that you're looking for. How much am I saving for college? How much am I saving for retirement?
Now, I would only ever do this with tracking accounts.
Right.
Normally, the rule is you always want to reflect reality in YNAB, right? And so if I was talking about checking account and savings accounts, things that are on budget, those have got to be separate because you need to reconcile those separately, right? But since it was tracking accounts, I didn't feel like it was a big deal to just combine them for more simplicity. Yeah. Because all I'm interested in is my net worth when it comes to those tracking accounts. So
well, I'm curious to see how this experiment goes because that's an interesting take on tracking accounts. And then how often are you updating those accounts?
Yeah, I'm going to try to do it once a month now. For a while, I've been kind of lax, and I just kind of do it every once in a while. But now that they're all combined and it's a little easier, I might actually do it once a month. I actually literally just updated that since we're recording this on December 1st. I updated that just a little like a couple hours ago, and it was nice.
Yeah.
In some ways, it adds complexity because I have to add up all those amounts.
Yeah.
I have to like look up everything and add it all up. But I enjoyed it. It was kind of nerdy and fun. But also, I lost some things too, like because I track like how much the investments went up and down.
Yeah.
And now I only see one number on how much they went up and down. So there's some things I've lost here by making this simpler.
Well, but it's a tracking account, so it can easily be deleted.
Yeah.
You can add those separately, a year from now, whatever. But nice experiment.
Yeah, so I'm going to try that out for a year or so and see how I like it.
So that is your fresh start. You actually did it. And what did it feel like once you completed everything and then opened up that new budget, started working from it? Every time I start working from that new budget, it just feels magical, right? Like, this is awesome. Really I'm so glad I did this.
And things are like moving faster, because there's not so much like, there's not so much like transaction history. So it's just like,
yeah, that's true.
When I do like a search, it's just quicker. I don't know. It's just kind of nice. And if I ever need to look back, and I have looked back at that old budget file, it's always there for me. So I haven't really lost anything. So, but it was nerve wracking pushing that button on a 3.5-year-old budget file. It was.
We could
even
tell.
Though I know.
It took me months to do it.
It did. Even though intellectually, and I teach people this, I know making a fresh start is a big deal. You can even undo it very easily, right? It still feels like a big deal when you push that button.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, I take it for granted because I do it so often.
Right. Well, I think I might do it more often now because I enjoyed the experience. It's good to kind of step back and look at everything again. So
excellent. All right, let's now transition into YNAB Wins.
All in your mind.
YNAB Wins is a new segment on the YouTube channel where we're highlighting wins from the YNAB community. So folks are writing in comments on the various videos. We're picking some of those and then sharing them. We have 2 of them here today. So in this episode, since we're talking about the fresh start, we decided to go way back in the Budget Nerd archives. We talked about doing a fresh start probably 10, 11 months ago in an episode called The Yearly Rollover in YNAB. And in that episode, I just highlighted my process for that annual fresh start. And there were a number of YNAB wins that we found in there. So we're going to share 2 of those. The first is from Varan Leda. I apologize if I absolutely butchered that name.
Well said. Well said.
And here's the win. I did the fresh start inspired by you guys. I was suspicious about it, thinking that there's no way around my expenses and that I would be broke no matter what. To my surprise, I realized that after shifting some money around, I was able to pay off my credit card, and even 6 months in advance of my initial goal. YNAB is magic, and so are you. Oh, well, thank you.
That's sweet. That is so cool.
That is really awesome.
If that is not an advertisement for a fresh start, I don't know what is, right? Because they realized, and you did the same thing, Ernie. When you did a fresh start, you realized, hey, I have some money that I could get a month ahead, right?
Yeah, and scrolling through some of the other comments too, there's that same theme. So you really do like see your money in a fresh perspective. I love it.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Okay, I have one from Kat, which I haven't read yet, so this is going to be new to me. Kat says, I was super nervous to do this. I'm assuming talking about making a fresh start. But after watching this video several times, I went for it. I cleaned up payees, I cleaned up groups and categories, and I reevaluated my priorities and goals. My mind was blown to realize how close I am to being a month ahead.
See, there it is.
There it is. Yes, I didn't expect this result at all. I would recommend a fresh start if you've been thinking about it. Thanks for the encouragement. Just go for it. Super pleased with the result. That is cool. That is cool. I love that. And she mentioned another thing too about cleaning up payees. That's something I haven't done, but I think I'd like to do now that I've done a fresh start. Because and that's when you get real nerdy, right? Going in and deleting old payees you don't need.
There's so many payees that you probably used 3 years ago. You're never going to go back to. Get rid of them. Clean it up.
Absolutely. I'm going to do that for sure. But this is so cool that she realized it was just like you, Ernie. She realized she had money that she could put to her to get in a month ahead, and it was a lot closer than she thought, and she just went for it. So really cool, Kat. Well done. That's exciting.
Well done.
Love to see it. And so that might be your story too. If you are thinking about doing a fresh start, when this comes out, it should be the new year. It's a good time to do it. Just go for it. Like Kat said, just jump in, give it a try, and you might find a new perspective and you might be able to meet some goals that maybe you thought were a longer way off.
And if you want, let us know about it in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. All right. Well, until we see you again, happy budgeting, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to me go on and on about all the things I changed. I hope it was fun for you.
We loved it, Ben. It was a huge moment. So thank you for making that fresh start.
All right. See y'all.
Happy budgeting.
Bye.